Hold on. All right, dude, we're back.
We're back, man.
Number 2. Dude, I need to tell you, like, so many people I've been going to a bunch of conferences and stuff, and so many people come up to me like, dude, that Cody Schneider guy, he's the reason I started doing cold email. Dude, so many people are doing cold email because
I love
of
it,
right
man.
now.
I love
It's
it.
crazy,
I have a ton of
dude.
insight on what I'm seeing work right now too for everybody. So it's totally changed the market since like the last time we talked. So
Yeah. I want to get into that, but before that, there's the thing that we were talking about. Actually, a bunch of things, but one of the things that we were talking about on Twitter was the biggest money opportunity that you see right now. You were saying content with AI creating
Yeah. So like AI UGC style content, I can break down like what we're seeing be effective. There's like a bunch of different ways to go about this, but like I think you could get an agency to like 40K a month in like 90 days doing this. And like we're just getting a ridiculous amount of inbound of people wanting this. So to give context, like what UGC content, traditionally it's used for display ads. Think, social ads, basically like Facebook ads. You could use it for like YouTube ads, etc. But a lot of the times it's like you're using any of Meta's ad properties. So traditionally, if I wanted to go and like create a UGC style ad, I would go and I would use something like a Billo app, and I'd pay $80 to like, $120 to basically have a human UGC creator like read a script for me that I provided them, right?
Yeah.
So if I wanted to make 100 different ad variations, like it's just not economic to do that, right? Like if I wanted to try 100 different scripts to see what was working, I mean, that's like $8,000 that I would drop just to get that. So what we're seeing as the opportunity and like what we're doing is like, we find all these like different value props of the product. Like for example, like one I'm working with a AI. They're like a product studio. They're out of New York. It's this company called Casper Studios. Absolutely gangster founder. His name's Jay. But we're doing just this like a co-build with them where we basically are doing the distribution. They're doing the product. It's basically just like it's called Record Book AI. It's we're just like in the early days of spinning this out, but long story short, it's like an AI journaling app, right? So it's like, I just speak into it, or it's audio journaling. So I speak into it, and as I'm talking, it's transcribing. It asks me follow-up questions to like get me deeper, and then it can do like a whole recap of like, hey, here's the insights from the last month, like that type of deal. So for them, we're like, okay, like let's like think about all these different value props, these different angles that we can come from like a hook standpoint. So like one that we're testing right now is, to just give a concrete example, is like, my New Year's resolution was to like journal more, but like sitting down and writing is super hard. It like takes me a bunch of time. Like this is literally the ad that I'm talking. Like this is the script, right? So I told this to my friend, and then she told me, oh, like, why aren't you using this app called Record Book? Or, why aren't you using this app that it's an audio journal? All you have to do is just talk into it. It records everything and then gives you all these insights. So that ad, we go and we write 100 different variations of that ad script with different hooks, different like body content, different call to actions. And then we use right now what we're using that it's just like scales at the level that we're wanting. Is HeyGen, their UGC avatars that they have built in, and then for the voices, we're using 11 Labs. We're just using their voice library. So combining those two together, that ad that I literally just told you is getting like 15-cent CPCs. We're just doing like global targeting in the US. Our site, like our like leads are about $2.50 right now. I think I'll get them down to like $1. And crazy. The crazier part is like, okay, and this is like a bridge to where you're trying to get, right? So it's like, okay, like our strategy, we go and we make 100 different variations. We find the ones that are the winners. And then at that point, that's when we go to the real human. We're like, yo, here's the scripts that are working. Like, do your own version. And so then we're going to see that, we can even decrease that CPC even further once we incorporate the human into it, because they're just going to be way better at delivery, et cetera. Yeah. And so that idea, you go and you package that as an agency, $3,000 a month. We run your Facebook ads, we run your Google ads, like whatever. You could probably just focus on Facebook. We do unlimited AI UGC avatar creation. We're testing, 100 different pieces of creative, like constantly. And like we're seeing this work, right? Like it's so funny. I get absolutely flamed on Twitter. Like every time I post about this, it's like, oh, it's shit content. Like it's not,
dude.
It's not about that. It's like, it's about, I can test the variations at a scale that I couldn't previously. So
100%. But also, So my brother's getting married in like 6 months, and I keep getting target for some reason. I keep getting like wedding app like ads on my Instagram. And there was this one that I sent it to my brother, and he was like, "Dude, do you realize this is AI?" And I couldn't tell. Like the avatar was so good, and it was a little bit smaller on the screen. There's a lot happening. You can't tell, dude. And I sent it, and it's going viral, and it's fully AI. It's insane, dude.
100%.
So
100%. So
it's
like
getting really good, dude.
the avatar we're using that's working the best, she has like literally like a pimple, like cyst, like it's like acne, like on her face, right? And the lighting's kind of shit. And like, dude, it doesn't have to be perfect. Like people are obsessed about, like, it just has to work, right? Like we can always go and make it better, like with a human after or later. So that's one side. The other angle of this is then doing that same strategy, but you do it for organic social. So again, we're doing the same thing, but we're doing that at a like way larger scale, where it's like, okay, we go build like 20 TikTok accounts, right? And then we write 100, we write 1,200 different scripts. We have the AI avatar speak those 1,200 different scripts. It turns into 1,200 shorts. We go and schedule those out to all the TikTok accounts. And like, even if it only gets 1,000 views, right? Like the CPM I'm paying for that is like $1 is what it turns into. And so that as well is probably an agency play. I know so many like ecom UGC company, ecom D2C companies that are looking to buy that right now. Like you have a package, again, same thing, where it's like, hey, 3 to 5K a month. You get X amount of accounts, you get X amount of pieces of creative. And like it doesn't even have to like perform super well, right? Because all it has to do is just include, like, we're just seeing super simple storytelling, a narrative, and then like the product is the hero within that journey, within that, like, I've been having this problem, and then I found this thing, and then it helped me like get to this life that I wish that I could have. You should go, like, you don't even have a hard call to action in this stuff. Right. It's just like the product naturally fits in. We're seeing that work really well on the social side. And there's probably a huge game here with LinkedIn. I keep getting inbounded for people that are like, hey, we want to do that. Like LinkedIn video is popping off right now. We don't know how to do this for our brand. We don't know how to do this for our founder. We don't know how to do this for whoever. There's probably another angle, like where it's like, I mean, that price point for that they're willing to pay is probably higher, where it's like, hey, 5K a month, we make 30 videos for you. That's it. And then we schedule and post them to your LinkedIn business profile, so that it's like you're constantly basically, that profile is at least having something happen on it on a daily basis. So
scary, dude.
It's surreal, man. I don't know. Like, I'm saying all this and it's like, yeah, here's this arbitrage, this opportunity. How I personally feel, I have no idea. The internet in my mind is already dead. Like I'm the problem, right?
Yeah, we all are. Yeah, fuck. Talk to me about, you also said you want to talk to me about a little bit. So you said Ecommerce SEO, podcast SEO, and TikTok SEO. Which one do you want to start with?
Totally. Yeah. I keep getting asked this a lot by a bunch of our like SEO clients. They're specifically like, hey, like, this feels like an arbitrage right now with like the ability to use like AI generated content with human overlay, like doing the polishing. Where do you see this going in the future as this goes, further, we get further along? Because I'm of the opinion that like everybody, like we're in this kind of like moment where you can go and capture all of this like real estate, but like after that, it's gonna get saturated, right? So like we're thinking a lot about social as the next search engine, just because largely that's what we're seeing in the younger generation trends. Absolutely. So like that same AI avatar strategy, we're testing this with my friend he does like TikTok meme pages. That's the only way I would know how to describe them. But what we're doing is we're basically testing with him, like where he uses AI avatars, and then we go after like a target keyword. Like say we're trying to rank for like, AI, I don't know, we'll say like writing, like essay writer, right? And you're trying to rank for that. And so then you go and you basically like, again, make multiple accounts that speak these different scripts targeting that keyword, so that then you own the front page for AI essay writer on TikTok.
So is it just a question of volume?
It's volume, and then also like is the keyword in the type, like in the first 10 seconds of the video. And again, we're still super early, so we're learning how this works. But this is what we're trying to experiment with, just because we see so much search volume going there for Gen Z, because they're like, especially for local like businesses, like they're not starting on Google, like they're not like cool bars near me. They're going like cool bars near me going straight to TikTok, going straight to Instagram. And then they're looking at the content that's there. And like also what we're seeing be effective is it's almost like listicle style content on those like videos where it's like, you know, top 5 coolest bars in, you know, specific like city neighborhood, right? Like say like Echo Park in LA. It's like top 5 bars in Echo Park that you need to try out this month, right? And it's like boom, boom, boom. The client that they're trying to get the rank for, they're number 1 within the list.
Number 1. Brilliant.
But the thing with this is that the freshness of that content is a factor within that ranking. So like we've seen where it's like 30 to 45 days. If it, you know, we could be on page 1 for that, but it will drop off. And so then from an agency standpoint, I mean, this is an unbelievable business, right? Because it's like, you're not just doing a thing and then getting them there. You also have to like constantly refresh the content for them. And what that does is it makes it so it's like, I mean, they're not going to churn, right? Because there's a way for you to
retainer.
Exactly. So again, just different options that we're seeing on that social side. But I'm curious if you guys have seen anything on the social, like for SEO or like, you know, what's happening in that world. That's
man, it's just everyone's trying to build like the Ahrefs for TikTok. That's kind of like what people are trying to get at right now. And I've been also doing some research trying to see what data there is available, but it's tough, man. It's tough. But whoever can crack that is they're gonna make a lot of money because everyone's moving to TikTok. People are just questioning Google quality on Google. You know, it just feels like Google is so outdated, right? And
totally.
So yeah. And what about ecom? What did you want to tell me about ecom?
Yeah. I mean, so we've been doing like on the ecom side, I think that there is more opportunity for bottom of funnel SEO than there ever has been. It's very transactional as well. So like, and this is this new company that we just spun out of everything that we're doing. It's called landingcat.com. But basically what we're doing is like we ingest a product catalog. We find every long tail keyword related to the brand. We then go and build out collection pages and blog posts programmatically based off of that catalog. And then also like what's ranking currently on page 1. But combining that with like, I think for any company, like, so the bigger thing here is like most ecom companies that we've seen right now, like they, if they go and they work with an SEO agency, like that's specialized in ecom, like, you know, SEO, it's like, they pay them $45,000 over 6 months and they publish like 8 blog posts that do nothing for the brand. Right. So like they're jaded, right? Basically. So if you can come in and you're like in 30 days, you're ROI positive. Just huge opportunity. Also, it's like, this isn't hard stuff that we're talking about. It's like, we're just building out pages that are long tail related to the product catalog. And the other side of it, like on the blog post side, and this is like where we see like a lot of them, especially if they have the smaller SKU count, like within the like their product offering, like 1 to 10 as an example. It's like best product for X, best product for Y, you know, best product for Z. You just do all those different variations, and then from that you can, you know, set up dashboards to actually see, oh, here's the actual revenue impact that we're seeing from that, and then also the actual like, you know, the Klaviyo pipeline we're driving for you off these pages, right, etc. So kind of all those layers. I just think that also, like, you know, everybody's seen this within the SERPs, like real companies are what is ranking now, like on Google. I want to talk about the HubSpot clap too, that everybody's like going off about. Because if you look at that, at like what's happening, it's the only pages that got affected on their site are things that are like not core to their product. Like it's so like they were ranking for just like generic business terms. And of course they got, of course they like it. Yeah, exactly. Because it's not related to their core product offering. And so with like, again, these e-com sites or with like SaaS products, it's like, for example, like for SaaS, integration pages are incredible right now. Like X versus Y product that like, or sorry, like say like how to X, and like X is like, how to X like some company. So say for like how to X or how to X HubSpot, right? Like basically it's a tutorial article. If your software integrates with HubSpot, like it's a perfect vehicle to get people to sign up for the application. So that's one. And then on the e-com side, the other angle of this is like, okay, if this is like, say it's collagen, right? And it's like best collagen for X, and you're a collagen brand that sells collagen. Like, of course it's related to your product. Like, of course it's relevant in that it's topical, right? So anyways, this is what we're seeing. Everybody has different opinions, but that's what we're seeing work.
No, I'm a big fan of programmatic. I made a video like 2-3 weeks ago where I was talking about like a case study for clicks and how I was doing all that programmatic kind of build. And it was crazy because I basically hadn't published like any content, and I published like maybe 1,000 pages, which isn't even that much. And I went from like 8 clicks to like 500 or 600 clicks in a day. And then it's just kind of like bouncing back and forth, but it's crazy. So I like the e-com play. I think it's really viable as well for SaaS. Honestly, any website that has like any authority can just start publishing like a mass amount of pages, as long as it's high quality. Like, don't just absolutely shit on all those pages. If you create high quality pages at scale, dude, and they're all properly interlinked and it's properly built, and you have a really solid template, man, you're gonna get so much
classic
traffic.
SEO strategies. I'm not saying like go away from any of that. All I'm saying is like, so what we're seeing work right now as an example is like find long tail keyword related to like the company. We go and we scrape what's ranking on page 1 of Google for what's ranking like currently for that target keyword phrase, put that into the context window, and then use like the highest model that we can basically to write the initial article.
Mm-hmm.
When we're also like another angle of this is you could go and basically use like an NLP model to pull all the keywords that should be included in that article. And you'll go and get a perfect surfer SEO or phrase score off of this, right?
Yep.
So publish that article. And then we have a human coming over the top of it once the article is actually ranking, because if like there's 2 sides of this, as you know, right? It's like, what is ranking for like, you know, at Google, like the robots, and then is the human dwell time on the page like actually long because it's actually providing value. And so those are the 2 pieces. Like, and again, everybody has their own opinions. We're just doing what works. I'm aggressively trying to get blogs clapped that I own that like aren't, you know, that aren't like the services that we're providing. But again, tons of different ways to do this. So
one thing that I'm also really interested in, and I have a bunch more questions, but I had this podcast recently with John Rush. Do you know who that guy is? He builds like directories.
John, totally. Dude, directories is such an opportunity.
Yeah. So one thing that I thought that I actually want to do with clicks, I'm going to make a video about eventually, is I want to scrape all my competitors, and I want to create like a mini directory inside of clicks, and just have like all the different alternative pages, and then I'll like this versus this other competitor page, and just create like programmatically all the alternatives plus all the different competitor pages at scale. Like, why not? Why can't I do that? You know, just build a directory like directly inside of my product. It'd be crazy.
Totally. I mean, I think there's a programmatic play for you where it's like SEMrush versus X, right? Like Ahrefs versus X. There's so many SEO tools. Like just do every variation of that. And then also that search intent for that, like if they're doing a comparison, is like the perfect search intent for your software. Right.
And I'm just going to shove clicks right there. Yeah.
No, exactly. I would do it a blog post format. You then inject a call to action every other screen. So like after the first paragraph, and then every other screen, like literally like, you know, it's in inline. And then at a 20% scroll rate, you have a pop-up that happens that's like, you know, click this to sign up for free. I just from like, we do this for clients, like literally that exact thing. And like, we're seeing like 5 to 10% sign up rates when it's a self-service offer. It's ridiculous. Crazy. Like, and it's, you know, again, has to be bottom of funnel, has to be related. Like, it's so funny. I talk to so many founders and they're like, yeah, we get like SEO doesn't work for us. Like we get traffic, but like it doesn't do anything. I'm like, okay, number 1, you're ranking for things that are unrelated to what your service offering is. First off, number 2, the call to action to join the software is at the bottom of the page of a 2,000 word article. Like, let's just look at the scroll percentage data. Oh, only 1% of people are even getting that far down the page. They don't even know that they can sign up for anything. Yeah, of course, and then it's like we implement those 2 changes, and like overnight we see signups start to occur from those pages. It's ridiculous. But
it's brilliant.
On the directory thing though, have you heard of this guy? His name is Frey Chu. He's this YouTuber. He just does directory content. I am obsessed with him. He's doing this case study right now. It's like dog park directory. It's like a dog park directory. 2 things that have come from like watching him that I've realized recently. Directories used to be really hard because it was like a data organization like challenge. With AI agents and scraping and like the ability to take unstructured data and then turn it into structured data, you can build these directories at a scale now that like previously was never possible. An example of this is like he goes and he scrapes like Google Maps data, and then he uses that as like, okay, does this dog park have benches? Does it have shades for the dog? Does it have all these things that you wouldn't be able to find any other way besides like people's like, you know, reviews? So he's basically taking the review data, he puts that in the source text, and then what he does is he has like a column of like yes, no, does it have these things? Like, does it have shade? Does it have XYZ, right? And then he queries against that source review data to find the information for the directory information. And I'm like, oh my God, like we're over here and we're thinking about this is like, do we go, because we do service work and then we also like own companies, right? That we do our own like marketing for. So I'm like, what do we spin out an arm of this where it's like we just start going and building like, directories, because you can do it again at a scale that you couldn't previously. Also, like, the link building for those are super easy and they're so niche that it's like a lot of the times you can get them ranked really quickly. So anyway.
Fuck, dude. My head always hurts when I talk to you. It's also so funny, dude, how many like different tally.so like forms you have under all your, I don't even know how many things you're doing right now. But anyway, let's talk about podcast SEO, because I think we briefly talked about it last time.
Yeah, totally.
But because one of the things that I like that you talk about is how so you think you can grow any B2B company just with a podcast, right?
100%. I absolutely can do that. I could make any like founder famous just with a podcast, right?
Okay.
I mean, this is literally the pitch. It's like become famous to your audience. It's like, so there's a bunch of layers of that to like talk about the podcast SEO side, because I think it'll be interesting to your audience. Podcast SEO is like 2001, like from a complexity standpoint.
Right.
It's like 3 factors that affect podcast SEO. Are the keywords in the title of the show? Are the keywords in the title of the description of the show? Are the keywords you're trying to rank for in the show notes of the show? And then are you getting downloads? So I guess 4 things. Are you getting downloads on that podcast? If you do that, you will rank for the keyword that you're trying to go after. Like if you go on Apple Podcasts or Spotify right now and you search, growth as an example, like my podcast should come up because I'm going after that keyword phrase in the podcast. And the only reason it's happening is because I've, basically keyword stuffed all of those and I'm getting downloads on that show. But the play here, the strategy here is that there's all of these long tail podcast keywords that like people are searching for. What I typically suggest is look for something that's B2B, something like, I don't know, like one we did recently was, I'm trying to think. It was like, I'm trying to think of a good example, like B2B marketing as an example, right? Really, really broad thing. You name the show, literally name the show, B2B marketing podcast. Okay. You're going to rank for B2B marketing if you're getting downloads. And then the content that you do is like, I mean, here's a play, like if a business that if somebody wants to start, and this is, we thought about this, but I don't think we're going to do it. So that's why we'll share it. But you basically use Google DeepSeek 1.5 to go and do research for you. So for example, like one we were looking at doing was like, it was basically like SaaS SEO, right? And we go and we find case studies for like all of this different ways that companies have used SEO in the past. So Canva was like the one we did a test on. So we scraped all the data we could find from using Google's like DeepSeek. It's huge. Basically, it's a research agent is how it functions. So it goes and it scrapes everything it can find related to Canva SEO. We then take that source text, we put it into Notebook LLM, and it makes a podcast of like a host and a guest, or 2 hosts basically discussing all of the information that we just scraped. And you just created the podcast content that you have. So that's a component of it. The other side of it is then you can run cheap Twitter traffic doing global targeting to get the downloads to occur. You run it right to the URL, which games the podcast downloads, which makes you rise within the charts for that target keyword. And then as you rise within the charts, you get more discovery. As you get more discovery, you get more downloads. As you get more downloads, you rise. And you just created a growth flywheel related to this thing. So I know people that are doing this with like 100 different podcasts simultaneously for every one of these different long tail keywords. And like literally that's exactly what they're doing. They're doing like 10-minute episodes though, super micro. A lot of the times they're like very broad category. These are like affiliate guys I know that are degenerates. And they're just like, yeah, we just like are selling productivity apps, or like whatever, productivity affiliate through all of these shows that are related to business. So
it's interesting. Most affiliate guys I know are also degenerates. So yeah, we probably know very similar people.
That's where I started. I was like, so I started in this would have been in 2012 where you could still do this effectively, but it was basically this like an Amazon like affiliate site owner. Like it was like they own like 20 sites, right? And so that was like my origin of all this. And I feel like there's two paths that people get into like growth marketing from. It's like either you started in like degenerate SEO affiliate, or you started in product, and then you both end up in the same place. Like to like, okay, cool. Like I can build a product. How do I sell it? Or I can sell anything that's really shitty. How do I build something that people actually want to buy? And so you end up like in growth roles. So
crazy. What are you thinking in terms of apps, dude? Building apps. I'm getting really excited about building apps. I'm building an app myself. I don't know, dude. Just like the whole paying TikTokers. I mean, there's also AI avatars now, I guess, on TikTok as well. That's also the play for apps. But yeah, dude, just like looking at Cal AI and all these apps that are exploding. What are you thinking, dude? Super exciting times, right?
Oh, it's unbelievable. Yeah. I mean, we're super bullish. But our thing that we're focusing on is things that have very small product scope, that have already proven like spaces that they're working in at a high price point that we can then undercut. So let's break that down in detail. So like a lot of the times what I see companies mess up on, especially with like tools, right? Like they go and they try to build a platform, which is like this massive lift. And like, you need to be like a pretty sophisticated engineer to actually go and build that like a massive application out. So what's the better thing to do, and this actually probably will segue really well into, we were talking about like generators and calculator type websites so we'll get back to that in a second. But so what's better to do is you like, cool, super small product scope that does one thing really well at a price point that like will make sense. So like Cal AI is a great example, right? It's like traditional classic category. They're just remixing in that category and then using like new distribution like channels that are like, I mean, you can get free views on TikTok, right? If you just post good content, it's ridiculous. But like the average CPM on TikTok for paid ads is like $8 to $9. Like you can go and pay like clippers, right? Like these like 20-year-old degenerates that are in college that all they do is like, make CapCut videos. You can pay them $1 per 1,000 views, right? Like there's tons of these Discord networks that you can go and like, basically you do like bounties, right? And then you have like if you get X amount of like views for us, we give you like a bonus, right? So anyways, to get back to this, so I think that's one piece. The thing that like the types of tools that we're like exploring and really excited about is specifically looking at like coaches or anybody that's trying to accomplish a thing that used to be a very high ticket like price, right? So like an example of this is like running coach AI. So like I would go and I'm trying to become a better runner, right? There's a specific subculture of people I can go after. And I would, if you go and you look like average running coach costs like $400 to $1,000 a month, right? Depending on like how like crazy they are. And they're looking at your data, they're giving you insights, they're doing all this, dude. Like mobile application plugs into your Strava data. It's $29 a month. It's $7.99 a week or whatever that pricing is, right? That like gets them in, and you're at a cheap enough cost that it's an impulse purchase. But then what you do is like, even if you're only 80% as good as a real running coach, it's still so cost competitive that it's worth it for them. And then you make it like, what we're seeing be the most effective way to do this is then you do like an AI agent that has voice built into it. So it's like, hey, like, I went on this run. I'm feeling like this, like my left knee is hurting. Can you like check out my Strava data? Whatever that ends up looking like, that's specific. It gives you feedback. It keeps that context of everything that's happening. There's a company that's like, they just raised $8 million. It's called Bordy. It's literally just a business coach that's like an AI business coach that has context of the conversations you're having previously, but it's with voice. Like you literally can call it and like have a chat with it, right? That UI, like that user interface is how I feel like this is all going. And I think that coaching place, like nutrition coach AI, is another one that we're like thinking there's an opportunity. Business coach is a huge category, but like think about like a lot of these. I see so many indie devs. They're like, yeah, we're making like an AI therapist. Like I don't want an AI therapist, right? Nobody wants an AI therapist because they actually don't give a fuck. Like what they want is like they're trying to accomplish some goal. And if you can figure out a coaching mechanism that's an AI that used to be a high ticket thing, and then like wrap that up in it. That's like with these mobile applications, the opportunity.
Yeah.
The other angle is like very specific. Like if you're doing web apps, it's like very specific long tail web apps that solve a single problem. Like again, a generator or a calculator. But anyway, didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah.
No. I was just going to add that I like the coaching thing because that's also good retention, right? People want to stay on because let's say they have a goal. You want that running coach to help you get to your marathon goal or whatever it is. I also really like trackers. I think trackers, like adding 100%. In, I mean, calorie is a good one, but it could be workout, could be alcohol, like sober trackers.
My friend is building a sober app right now, and it is the most insane retention I've ever seen. Like their daily active user growth is one of the most insane. Like it's going to be a huge company. It's called Sunflower Sober. It's ridiculous. I've seen the data. Crazy. It is absolutely one of the fastest growing things I've ever seen. So it's crazy.
Wow. And they're growing through TikTok? Or
they're doing everything. He's a generate like us. Like he is like classic growth marketer. Like this is, his comeuppance was during the age of free traffic from Facebook, right? Like that's how long he's been in this game. Like from Facebook pages. And that's how we met was in the old days. But yeah. So anyways.
Yeah, crazy. No, you were saying about the exact match domains. I don't know if you mentioned that.
Yeah. I think there's an opportunity here. Again, this is like related to this like small scope product tools. We're really excited about like, and again, this is kind of based off of what we're seeing rank also for like our portfolio of niche sites or whatever you want to describe it as. I'm thinking about it more and more as like portfolio of like businesses, because that's the only thing that actually will like live in live on with all the clapping that's happening. And so what we're looking for is like long tail keywords that are very specific to like an act, something that somebody's trying to do. So for example, I found like AIinfographicgenerator.com, got that for $10, right? It has a search volume of like 10,000 a month, like ridiculous. App, super simple. Ingest a blog post URL, make a PDF output, right? That is basically a downloadable that they can embed within their website, right?
Yeah.
I go and rank that like exact match domain, and then you go and you build out all of these like, so the play here that we're thinking about it with is like, cool, you find this exact match domain, you buy it. Getting that to rank for its exact match keywords is going to be really easy, right? From like a link building standpoint. As soon as I hit page one, like it's going to naturally start to just compound from a link standpoint.
Absolutely.
And so cool. I got a link flywheel, like I got a link magnet flywheel going for this. Also, this strategy with tool pages is crushing it right now. Like for example, we're working with this like construction company. We built like a remodel cost calculator, right? And then we go and you basically like have AI generate that exact app. You embed it on that page, and then go and build some links to it. It ranks on page one, and then it turns into this link magnet flywheel. But what I'm talking about is you're doing that at like the whole website is focused on that single like head keyword. But then what you can do is you go and you build out all these pages that are all these related like blog posts to that. So for example, say we're doing the AI infographic generator. You could do like infographic template 4, right? And then it's like all these different, every different variation of that. It's just a blog post. Those pages are top of funnel to get like people into the application, but they're also top of funnel. Like you could just put we could just do AdSense or whatever, like, some type of display ad network on top of that. But because the site is like naturally building links, and it's actually like a product, like people are Googling that specific keyword, they're landing on your website and they're using it. Like that search journey from Google's eyes is like, oh, this is like a good answer. This is a good thing. This is a real company because they're searching this and landing on this. So all that blog content is going to be able to rank indefinitely. And like, you're not going to get hit for being a niche site. So again, just how we're thinking about it. I don't know if this is right, but what we're exploring.
No, for sure. And this has been a thing for a while. I mean, not like if you take a look at some of the massive traffic websites, like something like Shopify, one of their biggest like subfolders are their free tools. But it's always been super hard to build those free tools. But nowadays it's like, dude, you plug anything into Cursor, into any of these other tools, and you get whatever free tools you want. It's crazy. So yeah, phenomenal time for that as well. What's wrong with B2C, dude? Why are you hating on B2C so much?
I just think that so many founders go into B2C. Okay, first off, it's fucking cool if you can get B2C to work, right? Like that's number one. Like it's such a clout thing. Like I want this, just like every other founder wants this. I would love to make an application that's like nationally known or globally known, right? So I think they get sucked into that trap. If you aren't God at marketing, there is 0% chance that you're going to make it in B2C. Like you are competing against the most like aggressive. You're playing pro ball when you're in that. Like in contrast, if you go over to B2B, like the level of game that you have to play is so. Also, the people are just like way less price sensitive, right? I mean, we see this with Swell AI as a great example. Podcasters have no money traditionally, is what we see. YouTubers have more money than podcasters, and you know what? Who even has more money? People that host webinars for their B2B business. So where are we going to go spend our time in like user acquisition? Like people that host webinars, baby. Like why? Like just breaking that down. Like creators have no money, right? So building tools or prosumer that is in that category is just not like the angle to go about with it. So why I always hate it. And like, again, I say that and like simultaneously, like we're building record book AI, right? Which is like entirely like, that is a B2C play,
Can't get away from it, dude.
No, because it's interesting. And like for us, like we want to see even if it like, has marginal success, right? Like we get the 20K MRR and we go and sell it for $1 million. Like, cool. Awesome. That's like a great thing for everyone.
Yeah, I take that marginal success.
100%,
sure.
100%. And like, you don't have to like, what's awesome too, is the businesses, if you can get them to work, like they're really like, they're very sexy businesses for acquisition, right? Because it's like, it doesn't have a lot of customer support, doesn't have a lot of upkeep. It has its like small product scope. Also, I think that's a part of this too. Like when, there's probably this game that can be played right now. And I know people that are doing this, that it's like, they go build a site, they get it to 2K MRR, right? They go and they sell that for whatever. You can get a 50x multiple on that if you have no employees. So they sell that for 100K on micro acquire. And like, that was a 3-month sprint that they did. And they go and they do that like, 4 times over a year. And like, they just made 400K, right? Like that's a great thing. And then the ones that are the best ones, you just hold on to them, right? You just like, if they continue to grow, you just hold on to them. But it's like, as soon as you hit that churn ceiling with the company, then that's when you go and you do that sale, right? But yeah, it's just, again, a lot of the times the pain points of a B2B is so much easier to identify as well. I think.
I know what you mean. Yeah, I know.
For sure, because it's like do consulting, right? Like I mean, you've ran agency. Like how you go and you do consulting for a specific group of people, you're going to find that like something that they all have in common that's a pain point for them. You build a software that automates that thing, and then you go back to that same group of people and you're like, hey, we just did this custom solution for you for $1,500. How about, $99 a month and it gives you the same outcomes? Like they're not going to blink. You just created a B2B service company. And that's in the form of software. So that's why I just see it be more of like it's a better entry point to like cut your teeth if you're trying to get into business than if you're going straight B2C. So
yeah, it's also true that I'm thinking B2C and I'm also thinking about building apps. And my older brother, he's a founder of an app. They're doing super well. He actually built a fitness tracker, which we were talking about. And one of the things that he says is like, it's great because you're basically protected under the umbrella of the app store, right? So there's already so much demand and yes, it's B2C and it's a pain in the ass and smaller price points and the MRR grows a lot slower. But dude, the scale, once you start with the ASO, with if things start ranking properly and you're building on TikTok and you're creating SEO that also, you can just create this monster and yeah, things are super shareable. It's pretty interesting as well.
100%. Like if you can get that, I think that's why trackers are great, right? Because it's like, if you can get that stickiness of a customer, like all their data is locked up in this as well. So it's like, oh, the switching cost is high. That's like why, like, record book, why it was sexy for us as like a business is like, oh, like if you have 365 journal entries in this thing, right? And it's giving you insights on that history and like has that context, even if you port that out and try to take it somewhere, like what can you even do with that data as an average person? It doesn't do anything, right? So it creates this like, basically lock-in for the user that's way higher. I mean, which is in contrast to, for example, like there's so many, like everybody is just cloning API wrappers, right? Like literally indie hacker land on Twitter is all they do is they just like fucking like follow whatever wave of, of AI like wrapper that went viral most recently. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So again, if you can get that lock in, you can have that data lock in. That is hard for them to go and like move someplace else. You're just going to find like, so many different opportunities. I think another insight that we found recently too is like also when you build these apps, you're going to find like killer features within the like larger app that you built that is actually more valuable to the audience, like to the market than what you initially thought, right? So we just, again, found this with Swell AI. The feedback we've got is like, oh, all of your transcription is like one of the best, right? They're like, we've tried everything. We've tried Adobe. We've tried like all of your competitors. We've tried all this. The transcription quality you guys have is the best. But all we need is transcription. Can we just buy that, from you basically?
Right.
Like, sure.
Yeah.
So what do? We spin out a separate brand, like literally doing this right now. I just bought this exact match domain that is like related to transcription that has, 20, I think it's 22,000 search volume a month, right? So I can rank that domain as, long-term. And then we just basically like, price it at a completely different rate. It's the same features. Like literally we're going to like clone the GitHub repo for those features. That is what the new company will be.
Yeah.
But like, as a founder, like you can go and do that now. Like, it's like, cool, I built this solution. Here's the killer feature. I spin that out as its own standalone. Here's another feature. I spin that out as its own standalone. And like, that's this natural thing. So, I got to jump in a second, but before we do that, I want to talk cold email because I know your audience is like, obsessed with this now. So, I can't remember the last time we talked, but what we're seeing working currently is a tool called MailReef. So obsessed with them. They're unbelievable customer service. Basically what they do is they spin up a server on AWS that's specific for cold email sending. For about $400 a month, I can send 50,000 cold emails a month right now. What we're seeing is like deliverability rates that are at par with like a Gmail inbox or like a Microsoft inbox. So the strategy that we do is we go buy 30 domains on like Pork Bun. We spin up 5 different inboxes for each of those 30 domains. So it's 150 inboxes. And then we're sending like 20 to 30 cold emails a day from those inboxes.
Wow.
So you can, to scale this up, like you can cold email 1 million, like send 1 million cold emails a month right now for like $8,000, right? Like that's the scale that this is at.
You said it was MailReef?
MailReef.com. That's one of them. Hypertide is another one that we're seeing be really effective, similar strategy. And then the other one is called Thor's Hammer. We know the people over there pretty well, and also like another great solution for this. So you either take that and then use one of those like Apollo scraping companies. There's tons of them now that they go and they scrape Apollo for you, basically like pulling out all of the list data, validate those emails, and then go and eat this out. The email format we're seeing be most effective is like, hey, name, we helped, saw you're doing something. So for example, like for Swell, like the one that we do is like, hey, name, saw you host webinars. We helped X company do, Y thing in Z time. Can we do this for you? Right. Something like that. Hard offer, showing, basically like context orienting them with the first line, showing them, social proof with the second, with like the place they want to get to in their world. And then giving, having that hard like call to action offer, super simple emails, try to keep the total text, like the length of a tweet, right? Those are what we're seeing be the most effective, like from a performance standpoint right now. So
crazy. And what about having like a female name versus a male name? Are you seeing that as well?
Yeah. We've definitely tested that. Female names work 100%. I know this company that has spun up like, I think it's 25 different female sales representatives that are not real people that are on LinkedIn doing prospecting right now. And it's absolutely crushing it for them. And it's like literally an AI agent that just like goes and functions, right? Yeah.
It's crazy, dude. It's crazy.
Anyway,
all right,
man.
I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, happy to do it anytime. Yeah, well, you have me back. We'll talk about whatever's going on at that point in the future. So
yeah, for sure. I appreciate it, boss. See you.
Love it, man. We'll talk to you soon. Cheers.